Chapter 2 of the VoiceLive Touch 2 video manual is making connections. So the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is plug it in. And you're going to use the supplied adapter. So it's a 12-volt adapter that you plug into the wall and then plug into the power in of the unit. Pretty straightforward. Next thing in line, you're going to want to plug in your mic. So you're going to want to use an XLR cable. It's otherwise referred to as a mic cable. It's a balanced cable, and it's going to go from your mic into the mic input. Next, you're going to want to assign the outputs. Now, there's two different outputs that you can choose from. You can use the TRS outputs, which are tip, ring, sleeve. So I got a little picture of that here. Or you're going to use the XLR connector. Now, by default, we assume that you're probably going to use the XLR connector because that's typically what would go into a PA. If it doesn't have quarter-inch inputs, it's going to have a mic input, an XLR input. So we've shipped the box in mono mode, just so you know that the XLR output on the back sums the signals to mono and sends it out that way. If you'd like to use stereo, you're going to want to go into the setup menu and change the output to stereo, but we'll cover that in a later chapter. Next, you're going to want to plug in your guitar if you're using a guitar. So simply, your guitar goes from your guitar with a TS cable, so not the TRS grounded cable, but just a regular guitar cable, goes into the guitar input. That'll activate the natural play, so if you're playing your guitar, it's going to pick up the chords and the key and the scale that you're playing, and it's also going to pass it through the guitar effects that are within the box. And you can choose how to mix the guitar and stuff, and we'll also talk about that a little bit later. If you decide you don't want to use the onboard guitar effects, say you're playing electric guitar and you got a bunch of pedals and that kind of thing, you're going to want to use the guitar through. And what that does is the signal comes into the unit and it gets read by the unit in terms of the chords and things, but then gets sent out the through without actually sending any guitar output to the main output of the box. So it goes in and straight back out again. What that allows you to do is then connect to your guitar rig. So if you've got a huge, the Edge from U2 guitar rig that you want to go out to, you can still absolutely do that, but take advantage of the guitar chord detection along the way. So when you plug into the through, it goes out to your amplifier or to your pedals, and it also mutes all the sounds in the box. So just so you be aware of that. The next connector we've got is the MIDI input. So if you're using a keyboard or any other kind of MIDI generating device, it goes into the MIDI input, and you'll have to select your channel and things appropriately, and we'll talk about that in the MIDI setup page. Next, you've got your foot switch in. So if you've got a switch 3, which is the 3-switch unit that we sell, you're going to want to connect it to the foot switch in. And you're also going to want to use a TRS cable, which is the same type as the TRS outputs. It's the tip ring sleeve in order to activate all 3 of the jacks on the back of the unit, or on the switch 3 itself, all 3 of the switches. You're going to have that TRS cable. So if you're using a guitar cable and you can't figure out why it's not working, it's because you need that TRS. On the side of the unit, you've got your headphone input. And the headphone input, very straightforward, plug in your headphones in there. And there's one other little caveat there, that if you have a set of headphones that has an inline microphone, sort of like an iPod set of headphones or iPhone, you can actually plug it in there and you can select in the input menu that you're using a headset-based or a headphone-based microphone, and it will actually pick up the mic from the headphone jack and allow you to use the inputs all at one time. We'll talk a little bit about that later as well. So I've got my mic plugged in. I'm just going to bring it over here, and we're going to set the gain. So I'm going to use the mic control knob on the side here, and I'm just going to sing at my loudest volume, and I'm going to keep increasing this level here until I get green all the time on the LEDs, and maybe a little bit of yellow, but never into the red because we don't want it clipping. So let's just get going.
Hey, I'm gonna sing at my maximum level until I see the green LED, and sometimes the yellow. That looks about perfect, so let's keep going. Oh, I went into the red. Let's back it off, back it off.
There we go. So it's all set up the way that I want it. It's not going to peak. It's not going to clip out on you, but it is going to give you enough level to drive all the effects, which is really the point of all this, is making sure that enough signal gets into the unit to make the effects work properly.